Hello and welcome to the Canney podcast with me, Canney. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about how to be happy. As Russell Brand once said, happiness is not some glistening bauble. It's a transitory thing, like a butterfly lighting on Snow White's finger in that bit of Snow White. This is true. Happiness is not a state that we all should be in all the time. You know, happiness is a state that we have to create for ourselves. Now, are there ways that we can be happy most of the time? Yeah. And paradoxically, is it true that we should be happy all the time? No. Like, there's such a thing as toxic positivity, which is, this thing that, this state that many people are in, where they're acting like they don't have any, like, sadness within them, or grief within them, or anger within them. They're like, yeah, I'm just happy all the time, man. It's okay to just be happy all the time. It's like, no, that's unhealthy. That's not authentic. Like, yes, it's a good thing, generally speaking, to have a positive attitude. It's a good thing to be happy, to generally speaking in life, like have a baseline of like you're happy and satisfied and fulfilled, and we should aim to do that. But it's like sometimes we need to get in touch with, for want of a better term, negative emotions. Not that there are really any negative emotions, because in one respect, because all emotions are there to be felt and expressed, and they're coming to us for a reason. But you get my point, right? So we might call positive emotions joy, excitement, passion, if you like, if that's even an emotion. You get my point. And then negative emotions, grief, sadness, depression, or negative states rather. You get what I'm saying, right? But it's like, sometimes we do need to genuinely feel, get in touch with and express emotions like sadness, grief. Sometimes we do need to be depressed. Our body is telling us that, our body, our mind, our spirit, our soul are telling us that we need to feel this emotion and go through this phase of depression or whatever. Right? Now, of course, there are exceptions where it's like someone might have bipolar, or someone might just it might be as simple as like, someone isn't doing exercise, or they're eating shit food or drinking too much, and that's making them depressed, right? Or they're working at a job they fucking hate, and that's making them depressed. Or they're surrounded by a bunch of toxic people, family, friends, lovers, work colleagues, acquaintances, whoever, and that's making them depressed. And then they need to, again, even then, it's like the body's still saying, hey, do something. The universe is saying, do something about this. This is this feeling that you have, this negative feeling that's draining you, is like, you need to take actions that are gonna stop this feeling. This feeling's here for a reason, to tell you this ain't good for you. These things you're engaged in, these people, these activities, they're not healthy for you. But as I say, sometimes, and then we can then sort of depression out. But then sometimes it's not as simple as that. It's like, it's more like you should be depressed because your loved one just died, or you just broke up with someone and you need time to grieve. So I'm not saying we should always be happy all of the time, right? And happiness is a good word to use, but it also can be a bit of a wishy-washy word. I normally think of, when I talk about happiness, as satisfaction and fulfillment, and a sense of inner peace and joy, right? So yeah, call it happy if you want, and I call it happy and happiness. But really what I'm talking about is a sense of inner peace, satisfaction and fulfillment and joy. So, also, before I proceed, let me say a few things. First of all, who the fuck am I to teach you how to be happy or tell you how to be happy? Right, many people listening will be friends, family, acquaintances of mine, and then there'll be a bunch of random people I've never met before from around the world. And some of you might be skeptical, especially people that know me, right? In the sense that they're thinking, oh, who's this guy to tell me how to be happy? I just want to get on with my life. Well, don't click on first of all, don't click on a podcast that says how to be happy, right? And if I tagged you in it, it means I think you're the type of person that might enjoy it. But yeah, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life. Do whatever the fuck you want to do with your life. Who am I to tell you what to do with your life? But that being said, the reason I make these podcasts, the reason I'm writing my book, the reason I make post on Instagram and write things is because, you know, there are activities and there are actions that can be taken that I myself have either become aware of these things by my own experience, right? Or from hearing about them from other people in actual real life, in my life, or from studying people on YouTube and podcasts and books who talk about these different, you know, areas of life, these different activities, these different philosophies I'm going to be talking about and espousing in this podcast. And I and all of these people know that these things that I'm going to talk about are important and know that they do affect our happiness, in a sense of peace, joy, fulfillment, satisfaction in the short, medium and long term. Right? And if you don't have to follow all of the things I say, you can choose to maybe engage in some of these activities and not others. Maybe some of them aren't for you. We're all different. We're all unique human beings. And in one sense, there is no model for happiness. There is no one size fits all. But in another sense, there kind of is a one size fits all to some degree, right? Meaning like there certainly are activities, and the activities I'm talking about will help everyone to a lesser or greater degree. And many people listening will already engage in some of these activities. But it's good to reaffirm these things to ourselves, right? So I just thought I'd say all those things before we go on. Right, so let's get on with it now. Let's take a sip of tea. So, there are like 4 philosophies, if you like, 4 models, structures, mindsets, ways of thinking about a reality and organizing your life and thinking about life that I've come up with, partly through just my own, some of them my own experience, my own original philosophy, and then, you know, some of them other people's. Really all of them are kind of a mixture of with most of the things I do, a mixture of my own original like insights, philosophies, ideas, experiences, knowledge that I've come about myself, and things I've learned from other people, either online on YouTube or podcasts or books, or people in my actual real life that I know, and I kind of put them all together and figure something out, right? So the first one is heal from the past, consciously create your future, more specifically a future you would like to live in, and learn to enjoy the present. You know, if we are constantly carrying around the trauma from our past, the emotional baggage, the negative things that may have happened to us in our childhood from our parents, our family, our friends, in our teenagehood, even in our adulthood up to the current time we're at now, whatever age we are, whatever age anyone specifically listens to this is at any given time, we cannot enjoy the present because we haven't healed from the past, you know. if we don't take time to consciously create a future, think about what future we would like to live in, what kind of life we'd like to live, and then go about putting steps and plans in place and taking practical action in order to create that future, then by default we will just end up being dragged by life, by the universe, by other people into a future that we don't enjoy. And when that future comes around, it will be the present, and we won't enjoy the present. So we won't be able to enjoy the present moment because we won't have healed from the past, and we won't have consciously created a future we'd like to live in. If we do consciously create a future we'd like to live in, then when it comes around and we do heal from the past, we'll be able to enjoy the present. Our life will be pretty fucking smooth and great. Now, of course, there will obviously be challenges, and as I say, we won't always be happy. We're human beings. We will sometimes be a bit angry. We'll sometimes go through sadness, depression, grief. To a degree, life isn't completely butterflies and rainbows, and that's what makes it life as well. It's like there is some element of life. It is nice having some element of struggle, and it does make us appreciate when life is more smooth, but like part of life is challenges as well. That's how we grow. But you get my point. Generally speaking, we can minimize the amount of suffering that we go through by healing from the past, creating our future, and learning to enjoy the present. We'll get more into specific details of how to do this later on in this podcast. Okay, so next, consciously meeting our 6 human needs in a healthy way. Now, we all have our own individual human needs. We're all unique characters, all unique human beings, unique people with unique personalities, unique wants and needs. And I'm sure as human beings we have more than 6 human needs, of course. But a guy called Tony Robbins once said that another guy, who I don't remember the name of, went round to loads of different places around the world and discovered that no matter what nationality or tribe or religion people were, they basically had the same 6 basic human needs. And those human needs are the human need for certainty, the human need for uncertainty / variety, the human need for significance, the human need for love and connection, the human need for growth, and the human need for contribution. Now, we get our these 6 human needs met, whether we like it or not, right? We get them met either consciously or unconsciously, in a healthy or unhealthy way. But we need to get them met. Right? We'll go more into this again later in the podcast. What's next? When creating the life of satisfaction and fulfillment that is our birthright, we need to honor and embrace the 4 facets of being a human being and make them all work together synergistically. Now, they do all work together synergistically. They just, again, like the 6 human needs, they may be working together unconsciously and in an unhealthy way that's detrimental to our well-being. What are the 4 facets of being a human being? Well, the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and the spiritual. Let's take another sip of tea. And these 4 facets of being a human being are inextricably linked, right? So it's like if our body, right, if we're putting tons and tons of shit in our body, not that I'm saying never to drink or smoke or eat junk food, like do what you want, right? Who am I to tell you what to do in life? I do all those things, right? What I'm saying, I'm not saying you have to become the most fittest, healthiest person in the world, although if that is your calling in life, you will know and you will do it, and you probably are doing it right now. If you're listening to this and that's probably what you're doing. I don't need to tell you about exercise. You should probably be telling me about to do more exercise. But you get my point. My point is just to reaffirm to anyone that if we don't get like regular exercise in, we don't feel as good. And the physical body, we need to be sweating. We need to have our blood pumping around our body. We need to be working our muscles. I'm not saying you need to become a bodybuilder and do weights, but at least something that works your muscles. Even walking works your leg muscles. As simple as walking is, right? If you don't, our heart needs to be pumping, our lungs need to be going, like breathing deep. We need to be engaging in activities that are an integral part of being a human being. Why do you think you feel so good after you exercise? Obviously, sometimes we feel like shit because it's a hard workout or whatever. But you get my point. Generally speaking, why do we feel good? Why is exercise like medicine to us as human beings? Because it's part of our DNA. It's part of our primal ancestors. We're not sitting living the sedentary lifestyle that many people in 2021 are living. We were out hunting. We were out gathering, growing crops. We were out in the fields. We were out running up hills. We were oftentimes fighting enemies away. We were creating shelters. We were growing things. We were moving, right? That's a very important animalistic part of being a human being is exercise. And as I say, the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and the spiritual are all inextricably linked. Exercise is so good for our intellectual state, our mental health, right? We feel when you've done exercise, when I've done exercise, I know this to be true of most other people that I've spoken to about this, our minds are so much clearer, right? You might have had anger going on before. You might have had an unclear mind, anxiety. You might have had just something looping in your mind. You do some exercise, right? You fucking feel that your mind's cleared. You're so much better. Why? Because you've got this release in your body. This tension's been released in your body. The reason that our minds oftentimes do this is because we don't live in a time where we're worried about wild animals coming to kill us. We don't live in a time where we're worried about fighting other tribes. We don't live in a time where we're worried about whether or not we're going to fucking hunt and eat, right? We've got so call them first world or modern day problems. So when by the way, I'm totally not trying to minimize anyone's thoughts or things go around in their mind or mental health or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying this is black and white as you just do some exercise and you sort it all out all the time. It's not. As I say, there are times to be depressed, there are times to be angry, and we're going to talk about that later on. And I'm like that sometimes. But sometimes you'd be amazed how sometimes what exercise can do for you, for our mental health. It's amazing. And obviously our emotional well-being, these are all emotions I'm talking about, the anger, the anxiety, and the physical body and the emotional body, if you like. Our emotions are inextricably linked, as I say, and we just feel much better. We have endorphin releases, in our mind, and dopamine releases, and chemicals that reward our body for doing an activity that's good for us. And of course, this is all spiritual as well. We need to engage it. Our spirit is related to the body, the mind, and our emotions. Engaging. We need to engage. I'm not saying, as I say, I'm not saying you need to meditate if you don't want to meditate. I'm not saying you need to do yoga or breathing exercises if you don't want to. But know that being spirituality is certainly a very integral part of being a human being, right? And it's like Russell Brand once said, going back to Russell Brand, if people are happy, they're happy. They don't need meditation, they don't need yoga, that's fine. If you're genuinely happy in life, you don't need to do these things necessarily. But I would recommend everyone trying meditation and everyone trying yoga, because you'll be amazed at the benefits of just a little bit of it. Right? Especially meditation, you'll be like, whoa, this is amazing. Right? I'll get more into the benefits of meditation in a bit. But yeah, so the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, the spiritual are all linked with each other, and when we get in touch with those aspects and honor and appreciate them, right, they work together synergistically in a healthy way to make us feel fucking great most of the time, which is awesome, right? We have these tools within our body for free. You know, within our body, our mind, our spirit, our emotions, within our human consciousness, we have the ability to do these things, and we shouldn't take that for granted. Okay. Next. Follow the 7 steps to fulfillment. These are 7 steps that I've come up with to help me and others try to create a happy life, a life of satisfaction and fulfillment. What are the 7 steps? Understanding how to be happy. Taking an honest look at our relationships. Moving, feeding, and relaxing our bodies. Feeding our minds. Filling our lives with what we love. Embracing the fact that humans are tribal. Making life a lifestyle. So, understanding how to be happy. Well, and by the way, when I say these are 7 steps and I'm putting them in this order, there isn't really necessarily any order. Think of these as like... Sorry, I'm going to sneeze in a minute, one sec. Bless me. Think of these as like, if these were like written on a circle, so there's no beginning, middle, and end. They're just continuous 7 steps that you engage in. But sure, if you're new to, I'm going to sneeze again. If you're new to like personal development and working on yourself and you don't know where to start, of course the first step would be understanding how to be happy. Now I say true knowledge and wisdom and understanding comes from both theory and experience / taking action. You see, if you just have theory and you don't have any experience and you don't take action, sorry, I'm going to sneeze again, fucking hell. You can't truly like deeply understand something. And if you just are just taking action, right, without doing any theory, without learning anything about how to be happy or learning more about what you're doing and becoming more consciously aware of what you need to do, well, then you're going to suffer. You're not going to have as deep an understanding as you would do if you incorporated both theory and action / experience. You know, the theory allows you to know what action to take, and then when you're experiencing something, you're like, oh yeah, I know from the theory what's going on. I'm getting more experience with this thing. You know, I'm understanding more what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong because I've done the theory. I've listened to other people who are more experienced and who studied this thing more than me. And then when, you know, the theory gives some kind of frame of reference for the experience when you're experiencing it, right? And it's like when we engage in these activities that I've spoken about and that I'm going to go into more detail about in a minute, runny nose, it's you know, we're understanding how to be happy on the level of intellectually understanding, theory-wise, and understanding by doing the thing and experiencing, as simple and as obvious as it sounds, right? But obviously common sense isn't that common. When you eat something healthy, you're like, oh yeah, now I can feel that feels better, right? And then the theory, of eating something healthy. Oh yeah, this healthy food is good for me. It makes me feel good, right? Same with exercise. Oh, I've exercised now. I'm exercising. I feel great. And you have the theory of knowing when you exercise, it helps. As stupid and as obvious as that sounds, like, oh yeah, Conor, tell me something I don't know. It's like, yeah, many of us do not exercise as much as we should. Many of us do not eat healthy food as much as we should. Many of us eat junk food too much. Many of us do not exercise. 1 second, let me blow my nose. 1 sec. That was a massive blow of the nose. Alright. Second. Next, take an honest look at our relationships. Yes, our social life, the people we hang around with, and the energy we're getting from other people and giving to other people throughout our life is so important. It affects our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being and health so much. And many of us do not have honest relationships with people, meaning like we're not taking a look at the relationships we're engaged in an honest way. We're not saying to ourselves, does this person and this person's energy, is this person good for me or are they draining me? And am I good for them? Am I draining other people? And I don't mean that in a way where I'm being nasty to anyone or to myself or saying, oh, you should cut everyone off immediately and, you're a drain on someone if you're going through a rough time. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, there are just like some relationships which are just not working out, and that no matter what you do, it's not a case of, oh, they're just going through a rough time or whatever. You be patient with people. We all have our own issues. That's one thing. I'm talking about like some people, it's just constant, like their energy is just so negative and it's constantly like, oh, just fucking draining. It's like nothing you do is going to change it. It's like, yeah, that needs to be looked at. And it's like, even the relationships that we have, and when I say relationships, I don't just mean romantic relationships. I mean family relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, work relationships, anyone you hang around with for any period of your life, right? Especially people you hang around with a lot. It's like, are you having the kind of are they good for you? Are they giving you constant negativity, criticizing you, putting you down all the time? Right? Are they passive aggressive? What's going on? Like, are you able to communicate with them effectively? Are you having a good time with them? Are you able to have a laugh with them? Are you able to talk about serious things and not be judged? And then also talk about, have more of a light-hearted relationship? Are you able to have fun with them? Or is it just completely really serious all the time? Or is it completely just not serious in any way at all, and you can't even open up to them honestly and talk about your goals and dreams or your life, or more importantly, how you're feeling? Do these people, whether they're your family or friends or loved ones or spouse or work colleagues, is it like at work, are you being drained? Are the people that you're engaged in relating to as human beings, are you relating to them in an honest way? Are you not speaking up and telling them your mind because you're worried about what that might mean for you? Okay, you're in unhealthy relationships if that's the case. We've all been there before, right? And it's like, what needs to be said is for you and me to take stock of these relationships when we're on our own, maybe even write them down in the journal and think about these things long and hard, then have conversations with these people. And if the conversations don't move the relationship into a more positive relationship, then you might want to think about, it's time to let this person go. Now, I can't, as I say, who the fuck am I to tell you what to do with your life? I can't make that decision for you or that judgment for you, as to whether or not you should completely cut a family member off, or you should end a romantic relationship with a partner, or you should quit your job, or you should get new friends, or whatever. I don't know. You're going to have to be the judge of that in your life. But the point is are you having honest relationships, and do your relationships serve you well? And are you being the type of person that someone else that is doing good stuff for other people? I'm not saying you need to be doing good stuff for other people every minute of the day, and you can never have an argument, or you can never have some banter, or you can never or it has to be that serious all the time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you know what I'm trying to say. It's like there are some relationships that are just really fake, and there are some relationships which are not, you can't feel comfortable around that person, or you're not giving them what they deserve as a human being. Right, so take a look at, and also another part of taking a honest look at our relationships is taking a look at our relationship with ourselves first and foremost. Do we know who we are? Have we still got indoctrination from our parents, or from our school teachers, or from other people? Are we not living up to our potential because we have friends who want to drain us and bring us down? Or what's going on with us? Look at ourselves. Do we respect ourselves? Do we have a healthy relationship with ourselves first and foremost? And then that will, by us doing that, by looking at ourselves and having an honest look at our relationship with ourselves, we will then be able to better have relationships with other people that are more honest, authentic, and that are helpful to each other, if you know what I mean. Not in a cold-hearted, transactional way. I only get people in my life that can help me with things, and fuck them if they can't. Okay, not like that, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Relationships where we're other people's lives, we bring joy to other people's lives, and we're there, we support each other, we encourage each other, we're having honest, authentic, healthy relationships with ourselves and with other people. Okay, move, feed, relax our bodies. As I said before, it's very important to do exercise of some kind of cardio, some kind of strength training. I'm not saying everyone needs to go into the gym and start hitting weights. If that's what you're into, you're probably already doing that. Or if that's something you want to try, good for you, do that. But some form of resistance training to a degree where even if you're just walking a lot, your muscles and your legs aren't atrophying, they're building, and maybe lifting things and carrying things here and there is good, might be good for you. You don't have to become a bodybuilder, don't have to become a gym nut, just some form of resistance training to a degree. You don't even have to think of it as training necessarily if you don't want to, because I'm talking to all kinds of people here. There'll be some people listening that will say to me, "Oh, Conor, you shouldn't say that. You should tell people that they should go to the gym." First of all, I'm not like that necessarily. I do some weights here and there. I want to get back more into it. I've been saying that for a long time, but I know I'll get more into lifting weights soon when a few other things in my life come together that I'm just waiting for. But I'm saying some people, they don't have an interest in going to the gym, but they still could have some benefit, gain some benefit by carrying things here and there, not letting our muscles atrophy. But for sure, cardio of some kind, even if it's brisk walking. I love to do brisk walking, but jogging, running on a treadmill, just jogging, going for a run, right? I know some people don't like to go for runs and they find it overwhelming and boring, right? Sometimes I don't like to go for runs, right? But, even walking, bending down, squatting, if you want to and you're into it, get kettlebells, do kettlebell training. But whatever, make sure you're moving your body, doing exercise, because as I said before, the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, the spiritual, all inextricably linked, and the benefits of exercise are So simple yet so profound. So, exercise, moving your body, feeding our body, right? The fuel we put into our body has a profound effect on our physical health, our mental health, our emotional well-being, and our spiritual health. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to now go completely organic and eat completely clean, because I know that's not realistic and most people aren't going to do that. And I've found myself, whilst there are exceptions to the rule and some people are very good at that and they can manage that fine in their life, I know myself, and I know there are other people listening that will be able to relate to this, when I try and go cut everything out all the time for long periods of time, so I'm just going to eat completely clean for this period of time or for the foreseeable future, the pendulum normally ends up swinging back, and I normally end up, binging on a bunch of shit and ruining the whole thing, and then feeling worse than when I started. So sometimes for the average person, it's all about balance. It's like, sure, maybe most of your meals are healthy, but then you allow yourself to indulge in some savory junk food and some sweet junk food, and even the savory junk food will have elements of healthy-ish stuff in it, like protein and vegetables and stuff, but you get my point. But generally speaking, if we're not eating healthy, well-rounded meals, whole foods, it's like, our health is going to suffer. We all know what it's like to have a sugar crash or a caffeine crash or a hangover. I'm not telling anyone to stop drinking or do whatever, like that'd be hypocritical of me. I drink. There have been times where I've given up drinking in my life, but I don't drink as much as I did at one point. But it's like, be mindful of the food we put in our body, and the food we don't put in our body, and the drink we put in our body, and the drink we don't put in our body, and how often we're doing it. And it doesn't need to be, regimented necessarily. That's not everyone's cup of tea. It doesn't need to be like really, really strict all the time. But generally speaking, you want to be eating healthy, whole foods, right? That, like, if we're eating junk food all the time, we're going to feel like shit. Our body's going to look like shit. We're going to feel like shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's common sense, but common sense isn't that common. Next, relaxing our body. Engaging in activities that relaxes our body. We are, Western society, capitalism, the Industrial Revolution, the school system, the Protestant work ethic, the guilt, we should just work, and that comes before everything. Get up and fucking do it. You just work hard until your fingers burn, right? Whether that be white collar work, whether that be exams, whether that be working in a fucking factory or labouring or anything in between, fucking work, man. Like, whoa. That stuff has caused lots of great great stuff, and for society to move forward has benefits. But it's an antiquated idea that has caused so much suffering for people engaged in it, and the people that were forced to have that mindset by their parents or the teachers or by the government or by religion or by whatever. It's like human beings shouldn't have to always be in that mindset, right, all the time, right? And oftentimes we find it hard to relax because we've had this shit in our DNA for hundreds of years, and we've been indoctrinated with this oftentimes to a lesser or greater degree, depending on who our parents are, or what school we went to, or what country we grew up in, what time we grew up in, or whatever, what class we were in, whatever, like to a lesser or greater degree. But all of us have an element of that we've been indoctrinated with. That's like that, it's like we feel guilty if we're not quote unquote doing something that they told us we should be doing, or we should be productive, we should be producing. It's like, whoa. Part of being a human being is relaxing. And I don't just mean the kind of relaxing that we have in modern Western culture, that people think of relaxing as, I'm going to relax with some beers on a Friday night. And not that there's anything wrong with that, of course, as I just said earlier, but you get my point. That's not the kind of relaxing I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about the kind of relaxing, I need a holiday when a place, a hot sun to get away from work, and not there's anything wrong with that, with getting away from work and having a holiday on the beach. That's not what I'm saying. Or needs to go and get pissed. It's like, I'm not talking about that kind of relaxing. I'm talking about the kind of relaxing where it's like you're honouring that part of you as a human being that needs to heal, and also just to be present and relax, you know, in the physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like getting a good night's sleep, for example. Many people don't get good night's sleeps. Even me, sometimes now, I don't get a good night's sleep, right? Because what we do is oftentimes many people are still, they don't switch off. Like, say someone has an office job, or they're part of a company, right? Or even if they have like a job where it's more of a physical thing, like they're working in a bar, or they're labouring, or they're working in a restaurant, or whatever they're doing, and they're not, it's not a white collar job where they're in an office printing stuff off or whatever. Even to a degree, people that work, the kind of 9 to 5s or whatever shift work they do, and then they kind of can switch off a bit more than the people who bring the office home with them, right? The office work home with them. It's like oftentimes we don't get a good night's sleep because we're still stressed, and we don't have that time in the evening to relax because of the way we've set society up, right? Which is pretty insane. But whatever, it's like really complicated, nuanced, and we're not going to change it like that. We can just change ourselves as individuals and set our own lives up in a way that's beneficial to us. But anyway, what happens is we oftentimes we're like on our phones, on Instagram, on Twitter. We're thinking about other stuff, our stresses and worries of life, and then we sometimes fall asleep with the light on. We fall asleep with the computer on, our phone on, right? And our bodies are really, really old, and our minds are really, really old, and they're very clever, they're very intelligent, our bodies and our minds, right? More than we consciously know. They're very clever, but they're also kind of stupid, and kind of, in one respect, kind of stupid, and kind of don't know what the fuck is going on. When we have a light on, we know intellectually in our mind and our brain there's a light on. It's a light. Our bodies, because remember, we didn't have electricity thousands of years ago, millions of years ago. We didn't have, the only light and heat we had was from the sun, the stars, the moon, and fire, right? And so our bodies then produced hormones, anabolic and catabolic. I can't remember which way around they are. One of them is hormones that are produced, the hormone that's produced where that's associated with us waking up in the morning when the sun rises and being out doing stuff. And the other one is the hormone that's associated with winding down in the late afternoon, evening, relaxing, going to sleep, resting, going into dream state, right? And back in the day, the sun would go down late afternoon, evening, right? There'd just be the moon and the stars for light, and you'd have a campfire. And when that campfire went out, it's time to go to bed. And our hormones knew it's time to wind down. But now, if we have a light on, our bodies are like, that's obviously the sun. What else would it be in nature? It's the sun. It's at least a campfire. It's the sun, it's the stars, it's the moon. It's certainly the sun. Right? And we then produce the hormone that is produced, that we're supposed to be producing during the day, and we don't produce the hormone that's meant to be winding us down, and we don't get a deep REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, that we need in order for our body and our mind to rest and heal, and also go into whatever, dream realm that's outside, like consciousness realm that's outside of this waking life during the day, right? So getting good night's sleep in the darkness is so important. Closing down our phone and our laptop and turning the lights off, getting into bed, relaxing is so important for our mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being. What other relaxing activities can we engage in? Getting a massage helps to clear tension in our body, our mind, our spirit. Helps to stabilize our emotions. Wim Hof Breathing Exercises. There's a guy called Wim Hof, you may know. There's another guy called James Nestor who wrote a book about breathing. Our breath and our breathing are so important. Like, the way we breathe and taking deep breaths, it's like an ancient technology we have in our body that we can access. It's amazing. It helps to clear the mind, relax our body, clear us of anxiety, to a degree, depression. They've done scientific studies on this. Right, it's amazing. There's a guy called Wim Hof, as I say. Look him up. Just do his breathing exercises. He does these rounds of breathing exercises, man. And they're fucking awesome. Like, it's like magic. You feel yourself relaxing. You feel like you've got like loads of energy, but at the same time you feel completely relaxed. And this has cured people of anxiety, depression, all kinds of, even physiological manifestations of illness like cancer and stuff. Like I don't know the exact details, don't quote me on that, but do your research for yourself and try it out, man. Meditation. Meditation is so underrated. Meditation is magic. Meditation, there's many different types of meditation, but just basic mindfulness of closing your eyes, watching your breath, observing your thoughts as they go past. You do that for like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Like, I normally try and do 8 minutes so that the first 3 minutes or so I can get into it. And, there'll be times in the first 3 minutes where I don't get into it as much. Meaning, like, I've still got thoughts going past. I've still not fully, like, present. But then after a while, I get in control of it. And it's like, yes, now I'm meditating. And then I meditate for like 5 minutes and it feels amazing. Your mind stops in the same way that I said earlier. I said exercise helps with this. Meditation, in some respects, is even more powerful. It's your mind is completely clear. The racing thoughts, the anger, the anxiety, the anger you had towards other people, all gone. Completely present in the moment. Right? Go back to the idea of learning to enjoy the present. Meditation is fucking amazing. Your concentration span throughout the day. No one can fuck with you. Right? Mentally, like when someone says something, it doesn't trigger you as much. Or if anything at all. You're completely present, completely calm. Meditation is so important. Reiki is a very important thing. If you can get Reiki, my mum's had Reiki and other people have had it. I want to get it at some point. Of those of you that don't know what Reiki is, it's basically this kind of form of therapy where somebody touches you, different parts of your body, like different muscles, different places. Kind of, I think it's related to the chakras. I'm not entirely sure, but the basic idea is that you've got unresolved and unexpressed emotions of grief and sadness and anger, etc., etc. And the Reiki like helps you to cry and release these emotions. Right? Yoga is so important. In terms of releasing tension in your body, in terms of healing you, from physical pain, in terms of strengthening your muscles, in terms of learning to breathe in a way that connects to the physical body, but is also spiritual. Many people around the world from ancient cultures consider the breath to be the spirit, prana that we're taking in. And when you do yoga, you learn to breathe in a way that helps to heal different parts of your body internally, literally organs. And it's great for your mind. It's great for your emotions. I recommend anyone who's never tried yoga, try some. It's fucking fantastic. Right? What else? Feed your mind. Step 4 in the 7 steps to fulfillment. Feeding our mind. Just in the same way that we put information in our body, the same way we put food into our body. right? The information and the energy and the ideas that we put into our mind are equally as important, right? If we have a bunch of limiting beliefs from our childhood or from our school teachers or from our friends or whoever the fuck, or ideas we might have even like come up with ourselves in our mind, right? It's like that are really negative and that are detrimental to us. That ain't good. But what the beauty is that we can choose what information and beliefs to put in our mind, so we should be, when we're listening to podcasts that are inspiring or entertaining or informative, or reading books that are the same, right? Or watching YouTube videos, it's like, that's great. That's amazing. You're now like giving yourself knowledge and wisdom and information that's practical and useful in life. Giving yourself like positive, if you listen to a motivational speech, it might be what you need to get on with your day, and you're feeding your mind with positive information. And then this ties in with like, socializing with other people, and like what information are they giving to you? What energy are they giving to you? Feeding our mind and choosing what information to learn, to expand our mind, to grow, to is so powerful, right? We don't have to be stuck with the information that other people give us as if that's the only information there is. We can actually seek out, learn new things and learn new ideas, and you know what I'm trying to say. Feeding your mind is so important. Filling our life with what we love. Here's a big one. Oftentimes we've been indoctrinated by parents, by teachers, that we have to just work jobs we hate, or we can't earn a living from our passion, which is bullshit. Like, there are plenty of people on the planet who earn a living from their passion. There's always a way to do it, right? If you have to work a job you don't particularly like at a moment to to pay the bills or get money, that's fine, but still follow your passion in your free time and work out a way of earning money from that, so you can earn that, you can earn a living from your passion, so that the activity that you're engaged in throughout your day, your week, outside of all the other activities I've just talked about in your social life, etc., is one that you fucking love, right? And you can bring value to other people in the form of either entertainment or joy or knowledge, or a combination of some or all of the above. Whatever it is you like to do, whether you're a musician, whether you want to start a business that's, any kind of business, whether you love art, whether you love doing whatever the fuck you love doing, you can find a way of making money from it. Don't let anyone tell you with their bullshit limiting beliefs, or you can't make money doing that, or say there are only specific ways that you can get into this thing. It's like, not necessarily. Like, you can be very creative and innovative. If there's a market for something, all you need to do is learn how to promote stuff. That's literally it. Right? We'll get more into that in more detail in other podcasts. But yeah, fill your life with what you love, with a hobby or a passion. And then also on top of that, I'm not saying you have to. You might be a type of person that doesn't mind working a job that you don't particularly like, but you're okay with it. But then you just like to have your hobby with doing your passion. That's fine. Do that, right? Or you might have a number of things you love, like I do, right? And you don't need to earn money from all of them, but you fill parts of your life just engaging in those activities for the sake of engaging in them, because engaging in those activities in and of themselves, the act of engaging in any activity that you love in and of itself brings you satisfaction and enjoyment, and you're enjoying the present, right? Number 6, embracing the fact that humans are tribal. Yes, whilst it's good to spend time alone, it can be healthy, and whilst it's good to be an individual and to do things your own way, sometimes in certain contexts, I'm all about that. Individuals letting you be you, figuring out who you are, don't let anyone tell you what to do. That's all well and good. There's certainly a place for that in life. But at the end of the day, we are all tribal as humans. We can't get away from that fact. We spend too much time away from other people, it starts to become detrimental to our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical well-being. We need other people to help us in life. And I don't mean that in literally a cold transactional way, or we need other people to get us what we want, and we use them, and that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, you get my point, right? It's like, we need relationships, we need love, we need connection, we need people to support us and us to support them and build things together in a community, right? It's like, when we, as I said earlier, about taking an honest look at our relationships, it's like, if we're not engaged, if the tribes that we're in, be them familial, our family, our friends, our work colleagues, are like affecting us in a really negative way, we need to find new tribes, right? We need to find new friends. We need to find other people that can be like family who aren't family, or maybe there are certain family members that are just too toxic. I'm not being disrespectful to anyone's family here or anyone's friends or anything. As I say, I can't make that decision for you. You'll know. You have to make that judgment yourself. But you get my point, right? It's like, humans are tribal. We're going to need to be around other humans, and we can choose to be around other people who, support us, encourage us, and we encourage them. And we can get in touch with a really wonderful, beautiful part of being a human being, which is encouraging and supporting each other, and like working towards, building, contributing towards a bigger thing. So, like, maybe that might be we go to a yoga class together, or we do meditation together, or just simply you might want to do that on your own, because everyone's different. But then or you eat together, and you make a healthy meal together, like tribes did, to contribute towards, the tribe, and we're all eating. You know what I'm trying to say? Or you work together, work on something you love together. Get engaged in activities you do as a tribe, and think of the word tribe, right? Like, when you're thinking about social circle, and how you think about the deeper way that you can all get together and spread love and peace and joy and positivity with each other. Of course, yes, as I say, it's not toxic positivity where you never get upset or angry or whatever, but you get my point. The general vibe should be just spreading peace and love to each other, and helping each other, and contributing towards each other, and towards a greater good for the community, if you like. Number 7, make life a lifestyle. Yeah, so think of all of this as a lifestyle. It's just activities you engage in, right? So, a lifestyle, a life school. With my company I've created, the Let You Be Life Camp, and my book I'm writing a number of books, but about 8 of them, and they all come together into the main book. But I've broken life down into different sections, right? So that you can actually break your life down into. And as I say, if you don't want to break your life down into any sections, and you don't want me telling you what to do, turn off the podcast, it's fine. Or you can, even if you still want to listen to the podcast and you're getting some good information, but you don't agree with everything I say, that's, or you're not keen to do all these things, or maybe some of you don't need to do these things as much as other people do. But these are just ideas and ways in which I've like broke things down. So, one second, sip of tea. The first section is unconventional wisdom. So in some respects, many of the things I've spoken about are unconventional wisdom. Some of them are conventional wisdom. Some of them are somewhere in between. But these are things like, spiritual stuff like sound healing. That isn't really part of mainstream society, but over the last 5 to 10 years, through the internet, through books, through podcasts, through Instagram, through Twitter, through Facebook, through YouTube, these ideas that are kind of like almost like ancient wisdoms kind of thing are like coming back into society and becoming a bit more mainstream. And maybe in 50, 100 years time, they'll be very mainstream. But, things like sound healing, where people have sound bowls and ceremonies where they heal people, getting in touch with that kind of thing. Take time throughout your week to engage in that kind of activity, or like burning certain plants. I don't mean weed, although if you're into that, that's cool, whatever. But burning certain incense sticks, or certain, getting back in touch with the idea that there are certain different plants and herbs have different, or teas or whatever, have different properties that are to do with healing certain aspects of ourselves, emotionally and spiritually. Getting in touch with the part of being a human being, which is the creative part of being a human being. Now, there'll be some people who are more naturally inclined to be more artistic, like myself, although I'm kind of like that way inclined, but I'm also quite logical and practical, enjoy like other things like that as well. But you get my point, that people that like music, that are naturally bent towards being musicians or artists or writers or whatever, and there are people who are less wired like that. They like maths, they enjoy accountancy, whatever, right? But do I think most of us as human beings, or all of us to some degree, still can benefit from getting in touch with the creative part that we all have within us as human beings? Yes. And we also like most of us have this as children. When you do like finger painting when you're children, you're like spontaneously doing it for the joy of it. And do I think we can all gain some benefits by getting back in touch with that spontaneous creative part of us, that we maybe were more in touch with as children, and maybe our parents or ourselves or society or whatever over time and practical real life, in quotation marks, right? Maybe some people stopped doing finger paintings, or stopped like doing things they found, stopped writing, or stopped doing whatever the fuck they're doing, drawing, whatever it was, photography, that they engaged, that they used to engage in when they were kids, or even teenagers, or even in their early adulthood, right? And then, quote unquote, life took over. What really happened was you just stopped doing it, and you're now missing out on an integral part of being a human being, which is that fun, inner child, creative, spontaneous part of you, right? So I think all people should do some kind of creative thing throughout their week for fun, right? Yeah. And also at the same time to stretch your mind a little bit as well, and to push boundaries at the same time. So it's kind of like for fun and getting in touch with your inner child, not taking life too seriously. And at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, you're kind of stretching your mind a bit. So engage in an activity like writing, creative writing, or some form of writing, or even writing in a journal, although that's not as creative as this necessarily, but I think people should do that anyway. I'll talk about it in a bit, in more detail. But yeah, or drawing or painting, even if you're not the best drawer or the best painter, that's all subjective anyway, but you get my point. It's like, just do it to get in touch with the parts of your mind and your spirit and your soul as a human being that, get a reward system from doing that. They're like, yeah, this is brilliant. This is creative. I'm a creative being. Maybe you like taking photographs. Well, maybe you don't, but maybe you'll find out that you like being a photographer. I'm not saying you have to become a professional photographer, although if you want to do that and that's your passion, awesome. But just the joy of taking photographs of nature or of whatever is a creative activity to engage in. Whatever it is you want to do yourself. And there's a bunch of other things to do with unconventional wisdom, which I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but we won't need to go into those. Just a brief summary, right? Next, parent-child relations. Okay. This is like going back to the idea of taking an honest look at our relationships. It's like one of the biggest factors that affect us as adults is our childhood, right? And it's like we need to take an honest look at our childhood and what our relationships was like with our parents /guardians, and then after that, our general extended family was like, as a child, certainly, and then even as a teenager, definitely, and even in our up to our life so far, and how that affected us, and then take a look at our current relationship with our parent/guardian and extended family, and then take a relationship with our an honest look at our relationships with our child or children, if we have them, or if we don't have them, if we would like to have them in the future, and what kind of life we'd like them to live, and what actions we would take in order to help them to live a life of satisfaction and fulfillment. Right, so first of all, our childhood, what was it like? I guarantee you we've all got limiting beliefs and trauma from our childhood. Some of us worse than others. My voice is a bit buggy right now. One sec. Some of us worse than others in different ways, and that's subjective to a degree. Everything affects everyone in different ways. There will always be things that areas of life that one of us has worse than another, or that an area of life that we had it easier than someone else, or we all have our own issues. No one hasn't got baggage from their childhood, but we all have different kinds of baggage and to different degrees, and everything affects everyone differently. But it's like, look at our relationship we had growing up with our parents growing up, because that's such a it's probably the number one contributing factor to how we got to where we are now in life, and how we feel about life. Our parents put a lot of their own morals and beliefs in our heads. Our parents tell us what they want us, oftentimes to a lesser or greater degree. And by the way, I'm not picking on anyone's parents, being disrespectful to anyone listening to this, or my own parents, or to anyone that is a parent. I'm just saying it like it is. It's like, oftentimes our parents put their own morals and beliefs in our mind, and things they want us to do in life, whether it be a job or career or uni or whatever. Oftentimes our parents, made us feel bad for certain things, for certain behaviours. Oftentimes some of our parents were abusive, and that's a grey area to a degree, especially emotional abuse. And it's like, we have a lot of trauma and a lot of limiting beliefs from growing up. Many of us had great parents, and many of us, somewhere in between. No one's parents are perfect, and my point here is not to just shit on parents or on anyone's parents, disrespect anyone. My point is just to be honest about how it's like, are we living our life now the way we want to? And if we're not, are there things going on? Are there things going on in our current romantic relationships that come from our childhood? Of course there are. Are there things that went on in our past romantic relationships that stem from the way our parents interacted with each other and with us? Of course there are. Are there activities and beliefs and things we've done in our life because our parents put limiting beliefs about certain things in our life? Of course there are. Are there, like that's very important to be honest about. And anyone who thinks that that's not a real thing isn't looking deep enough. Right? But of course our parents, to some degree, our parents did their best. They were victims of their own parents, their own circumstances and society. Not here to shit on parents. God bless them for doing, the good stuff they did. Most of them did their best to some degree. It's like, life's hard for all human beings, so I'm not here to shit on parents. But you get my point, right? Then take an honest look at our current relationship as adults with our parents at the moment, or parent or guardians, or and the family in general as well. What's it like? Can it be salvaged? Like is there a relationship that's really bad, so bad that you can't even really contact your parents? Again, I can't and stay in contact with them. Or mate, do you want to even have a relationship with them? I don't know. I can't say that. I can't make that judgment. I don't know anyone's parents. Only you can make that judgment about your own guardians, parents, whatever, family in general, right? what steps can we take if we do want to have a better relationship with our parents? What steps can we take to try to have that relationship with our parents, and then see if that works? Another thing I think we can all benefit from, no matter whether we have more parents that were on the end of a spectrum that are more supportive, and we have a healthier relationship with our parents at the moment, or a healthy, fairly healthy relationship, still we could all benefit from finding like mother figures and father figures, right? Even as adults that that are older than us, male and female role models, because it's like, even if those of us whose parent, we have a fairly healthy, supportive relationship with our parents, and they love us and they support us and they let us to be free and they want us to be happy. It's like, even them, it's like, still there's that like built-in parent-child dynamic that's going on even as adults, where it's like everyone pisses us off. No, I don't mean everyone pisses us off all the time and we're all walking around pissed off, but I mean like, it's like whether in romantic relationships or friendships or work relationships or family relationships, it's like we're going to get annoyed at people and they're going to get annoyed at us, little bits of habits and being around people all the time, even if we love them and then we love their personality most of the time. It's like therapy is so needed for everyone to a lesser or greater degree, depending on, do what you want. Don't go to therapy if you don't want to go to it. But you get my point. It's like therapy is very beneficial because you're talking to somebody who's not emotionally engaged in the situation with you, and whose job it is and whose expertise it is to be present with you and to listen in a non-judgmental way and to really acknowledge what you're going through. And I think in the same way, it's very important, whilst I think everyone could benefit from therapy, more specifically, it's very important to find male and female role models outside of our parents, whether ideally they'd be in real life, but even if it's through a YouTube video or a podcast or a book, because first of all, those people may be doing something that, or mentors or whatever, doing something that your parents don't know about, can't give you any advice on, that, who engage in activities that are similar to the activities you want to engage in life and you want as part of your career or your life or whatever. Or, even not even just career or life, just the fact that there's a man or a woman who's like there supporting you that you can go to, because we can't rely on the fact that our parents are like that. Even if they were are kind of like that and are great parents, it's like still, as I say, there's still that thing of like, I want to have a conversation. Sometimes you don't want to talk to your parents about certain things, even as adults. Sometimes we want to talk to other people about some of the annoying habits of our parents, to the greatest respect. And of course, we're all perfect, and we never annoy anyone or our parents or anyone else. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. We all do. We all have our own unique idiosyncrasies and our own unique things, that habits and quirkinesses about us that get on other people's nerves. I certainly do. But you get my point. Find older male role models and female role models, right? And then also the good thing about that is, especially if you can't have a healthy relationship with your parents, or your parents are dead or whatever. Sorry if anyone's parents are dead. You know what I mean? It's like, then you've got some kind of father figure and mother figure there to help guide you and to just be that person and take that place in your life, right? So, our children, do you have children, people listening? Some of you will, some of you won't. What kind of relationship, and far be it from me to tell you what to do, how to raise a child, or to get involved in anyone's business, right? But it's kind of like, the way I look at it is, I want children at some point. When I was younger, at one point I thought I didn't want children. Now I think I do at some point in the next 5 to 10 years, if the right woman comes along, right? But it's like, what kind of relationship, if you haven't got kids, would you like with your children? What kind of relationship would I like with my children? Well, because I grew up in an environment that was pretty toxic, where I had lots of, from both my parents, but much more extremely from my dad, where like there were lots of good things and there were lots of things that were very good that we had that were good for me, and that were positive energy and love and support from both my parents, that maybe some people even didn't have, right? And then other people did have. But there was also lots and lots of toxic emotional abuse, craziness, caused so much suffering and pain in my childhood, my teenagehood, and to this day, right? From both my parents, but particularly from my dad, because they both came from dysfunctional, my mum and my dad, different ways and similar ways, from dysfunctional households and families. And obviously all my grandparents did, and their great grandparents did. And it's like, yeah, like that's just a cycle of generational trauma, like one after the other. But it's like, we may have come from environments that weren't ideal, so to speak. But what are we going to do to make sure that we learn from that, and then give our children be the father or mother of our children that they deserve, that encourage them, support them, So things have I thought of about when I have children in the future? Well, what would I want my children to be around? Or be around somebody who loves them unconditionally, who encourages them to pursue their passions, right? Who leads by example, right? Who meditates in front of them, who teaches them about meditation, who teaches them about exercise, who teaches them, who gives them healthy food, who is following his own passion in life, is happy, is an example of an adult who's got his shit together, right? I'm not going to be putting any bullshit ideas in my children's heads, as many people do from a young age. You need to do this career, you need to do this is bad, this is wrong, you're wrong. No, I respect children as the mini adults that they're becoming, that they will be one day, right? Encourage your children, support your children, respect them, that the way you speak to your children will affect them for the rest of their life. They will grow up, my children, with a healthy father and mother who genuinely want the best for them, not the bullshit line that many parents say, I want the best for you. Then why the fuck are your kids suffering every 5 minutes? Why do they hate the thing you're making them do? Why do they not want to go to uni, but you're bullying them into going to uni? You can't. Why are you telling them they have to work this job they fucking hate? Why did you put all this bullshit in their minds? You haven't got their best interests at heart. Bullshit. You might think you do because the way you've been indoctrinated, right? And the words we use and the lies we tell each other in society and all the things we say one thing, but then the reality or subjective experience of that thing is completely fucking different, right? It's like, anyway, who am I to tell you what to do with your kids? Do whatever the fuck you want. But basically, if you have kids, like, how do you feel with them? What's your relationship like with them? Do you have a good relationship where they open up to you and you can speak? And of course, listen, we're all going to piss our parents. I'm not saying being judgmental too much here. I know I sound like I am, but because I know that it's hard. When you have kids, it's fucking hard, because I know that kids give me the greatest respect. Even though I just said I respect children, and I'm going to make them, encourage and support them. It's like, I know they can be irritating. I know all of us as kids can be irritating when we're younger, right? And also, when we're kids. And I've worked with kids before. I've been a kid. I've been around children who are family members. I know what kids are like. Like, it's hard as an adult to sometimes to manage kids without getting angry. I get it. And when we go through our teenage years, we rebel against our parents a bit, and it's hard. And I'm not saying, it sounds like it's easy for you to say you don't have kids. I understand that. I totally get that. It's like, but my point is that we can still have an honest relationship with our kids and take responsibility for the things that we are doing wrong if we currently have kids, or think about what kind of positive relationship we would like to have with our kids going forward. Okay. Next, let's get social. So, this is just the area of our life that's our social life. But all of our life should be kind of our social life to a degree. Meaning, if we were living in a tribe, there wouldn't be that, now we go and... Well, there would be some element of that. Now we go and work, we collect things. But it's all day you're with the same people doing that. And there's something cool about that. Now, am I saying you need to be with the same people all day? No, organise your life whatever works for you. But you get my point, right? It's oftentimes we use our social life as an escape from our job. And I'm not saying there's not, healthy versions of that where sometimes you just had a hard day and you just want to escape for a bit. Okay, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that inherently. It's just some people take that to the degree where it's what they should really be doing is looking at why the fuck they have to escape every fucking time they go out. They need to reassess the part of their life that they're escaping from and do everything in their power to make sure that the activity they're engaging in this case their job or whatever, is something they don't feel that they always have to escape from because they actually fucking love it and enjoy it. And, that goes back to working on your passion and working out how to make money from it so you can do that full time rather than working a job you fucking hate for the rest of your life. But social life, yes, this is just literally just, like I say, what kind of relationships do you have with family, friends, loved ones? Engage in, community activities. Maybe join a social club. Maybe if you're religious and you're into the church and stuff or whatever religion you are, something that a community of people that are contributing towards a greater good kind of thing towards each other. There's something very nice about that. Hang out with friends who encourage and support you in your goals and dreams, not people that are constantly criticizing you, putting you down. Every time you see them, they drain you, right? That's what social life should be like. Moving our body, this part of our life, yes, as all the things I said earlier in the 7 steps to fulfillment. The exercise, great for you. Feeding your body, this area of life, obviously, eat mostly whole foods, delicious, nutritious foods. Right? Learn to cook for yourself if you can't. I'm not saying you have to cook for yourself every single meal, but you get my point. Learn to be self-sufficient when it comes to the food you eat. Maybe even grow some food if you want to take it that far and get in touch with our primal, that primal part of being a human being that our ancestors engaged in when they grew their own crops, their own vegetables, right? Maybe do that in your garden or in an allotment. Relax your body. All of the things I said earlier, the meditation, the yoga, the Reiki, the Wim Hof Breathing Exercises. If I've missed any out from earlier, you know what I'm talking about. The good night's sleep, right? Feeding your mind, as I said earlier, feeding your mind with positive, inspiring podcasts, books, YouTube videos, learning new skills and giving yourself new knowledge and information that you actively seek out, that interests you, that can benefit you in your life. Positive affirmations to yourself. Yeah, that's great. Feeding your mind. That needs to be part of your routine, your day, your lifestyle. Motivation. Now, this is just simply the reason oftentimes many of us aren't motivated is because we work jobs we don't like, and then we're too tired or whatever to engage in activity we do like, and we think we can never earn any money doing that. But if you just carve out the time to figure out how to make money, and motivate yourself to do that, the benefits will be massive. Take time throughout your week to motivate yourself to do something that you love. And eventually, when you're just doing that and you're not working a job you hate and you're doing the thing you love and you're getting money from it, motivation becomes easy. Sure, there's an element of it sometimes, even within the activities that we love, where we sometimes have to push ourselves because we don't really feel like doing it. Like before this podcast, I didn't feel like doing it, even though I kind of love it. When I get into it, it's like the initial motivational burst oftentimes is the getting into it is the hardest part. As someone recently said to me, the hardest part of going for a run is getting your trainers on. Before you go, oh, I don't want to go for a run. Get the fucking trainers on. Go out of the fucking house and go for a run. But in the same way, oh, I don't want to engage in my passion today. I don't feel like it. No. Start doing it. And then you start to fucking love it and get into it. I've loved this podcast when I got into it. Right? And that's it. That's make life a lifestyle. That's pretty much everything I have to say in this podcast. I'll just summarize with this, right? So when we're engaging in this lifestyle, the unconventional wisdom, the parent-child relations, the let's get social, the move your body, feed your body, relax your body, feed your mind motivation, are we engaging in, are we following are we doing all the things I said that, in the 4 models? Like, are we healing from the past, consciously creating a future we'd like to live in and learn to enjoy the present? Absolutely. Are we consciously meeting those 6 human needs in a healthy way? Yes, we're getting the human need of certainty met in the sense that we know these activities are going to bring about we can be certain that these activities are going to bring about certain feelings and emotions in our mind, body, and spirit. We're getting a variety of different emotions going on, a variety of different activities, right? We're consciously meeting our human need for variety in a healthy way. When we engage in in an activity we love, that's unique to us, that speaks to us, that comes from our heart, it's like we're getting the human need, we're getting in touch with and meeting our human need for significance in a healthy, conscious way. Love and connection, yes. When we're engaging in positive relationships with family, friends, lovers, etc., work colleagues, we are getting a positive form of love and connection when we have healthy relationships. Are we growing? Yes, we're growing in the sense all the time if we're engaging in these activities. Like when we're exercising or doing yoga, we're growing. We in a month's time, you might be able to do more yoga. The stances you're doing, you might be able to do them more effectively in a way that is more beneficial for you. When you, on our journey, when we're going through these things, when we meditate, when we exercise, when we take more of an honest look at our relationships grow. We are growing as individuals and we're growing as a community of people interacting with each other. And then the human need for contribution. Of course, when we're engaging in all of these activities, we're contributing to each other as human beings and to the community that we're in as a whole. Are we honouring the 4 facets of being a human being? The physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and spiritual, and helping them all to work together synergistically in a positive way? Yes, absolutely. When we do when we engage in all these activities, we are engaging in the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, the spiritual, and helping them all to work together synergistically. Absolutely. Are we following the 7 steps to fulfillment when we do this? Yes, by virtue of the fact that we're doing these things. We are understanding how to be happy, both intellectually, the theory of how to be happy, and the actual experience and action of what makes us happy. We're actually experiencing it as we're engaging in these activities. We're taking an honest look at our relationships. Absolutely. Are we moving, feeding, and relaxing our body? Yes. Are we feeding our mind? Yes. Are we filling our life with what we love? Yes. Are we embracing the fact that humans are tribal? Yes. And are we making life a lifestyle? Yes. And one other thing I was going to say there is that I forgot to put in is get back to nature. Go outside. Go around. Be around greenery, trees, forests, hills. Go camping, go around the campfire, get in touch with, that goes back to the idea of embracing the fact that humans are tribal. Our ancestors were out camping, like around campfires out. I'm not saying you have to go and live in the woods. take it to whatever extreme you want to. But I recommend anyone to go, and not just camping at a music festival. That's one thing, that's great. But I mean, like, go on a camping trip with friends, man, or family or whatever. Get back in touch with that part of being a human being where they used to camp in teepees, or, you know, be outside in the elements, in nature. It's very healing. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. I hope it was inspirational, informative, entertaining. Have a great day, have a great week, have a great life. I hope you're inspired to live a happier life, a more satisfying and fulfilling life, a joyous life. From me, Conor Canney, the Let You Be Life Camp. The Conor Canney podcast, the Let You Be Life Camp, is one of my YouTube channels and my part of my book and my business I've created. And a lot of the stuff I'm saying here is part of the Let You Be You Life Camp. But really, this is the Conor Canney podcast channel. So from me, Conor Canney, the Conor Canney podcast. Take care. Peace and love to all. Bye-bye.